Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to a new year. Welcome to a bunch of new stuff. So yeah, I got a calendar of stuff for the new year, January through December. And let me pull it up. Okay, I don't have it here. I'm not gonna dig for it. But I can do a top 10 for you today because this will be the first top 10 of the year. And I'm kind of excited about it because it's about me. Not only is that one of my favorite subjects of all time, but it's one of the best things that you could possibly talk about. So let's do my top 10. My top 10 is going to include 5 fears and 5 loves, and these are actual personal fears of mine and personal loves of mine. So not only does it make it easier to do when I'm not trying to judge other things and I can pick my own, I can whip through these. So let me turn down Elon Musk. He's a little loud right now. So okay, let's do this. I'm gonna number these real quick. Okay, so top 5 are gonna be loves, and bottom 10 are gonna be fears. So let's do it. Okay, of course I roll 11. I should use a 10-sided die for this, but what's the point in that? 10. Fear number 10. The eventual heat death of the universe or Earth. So one of the things I know I don't necessarily by age need to worry about because it's going to happen in a billion years, but is that the Earth will eventually be destroyed by the sun. It's just going to grow into our particular sun star that we have is going to basically grow into a super red giant and then dwindle into a brown dwarf or like a smaller star. It's not going to go supernova because it's not big enough. But I do worry about it. Why do I worry about it? Because eventually we've got to get off the planet. Yeah, a million years is a long time. Yeah, a billion years is a very long time. But in the grand aspect of how stars are made, created, and how they go through their birth and rebirth cycles, to me it is more than enough to worry about. It doesn't mean that even my grandkids or great grandkids and great 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 grandkids are going to have to deal with it. But it's an impending fear that is always dwindling above my mind. Like, I don't know, I should have to think about that. I shouldn't have to worry about that. But I do. I don't know why I do, but it is obviously a fear. And fears are one of those things that just don't make sense. So when it comes to a fear that is like unobtainable, like by time, or you're not, it's like saying like, I'm scared that it's going to rain on 50 years from now on a Monday and it's going to be the worst day of my life. Like, it's just a fear that you can't predict. It's nothing that you can actually say is actually a legitimate fear, but that is what fear is. We are primed to be love or fear. Like, we only have 2 emotions that motivate us. We don't have any other 2 emotions that motivate us. If you are doing things outside of love or fear, I'm very curious to what it is that you're doing or why you do them to be in general, because if you do something because you think you like it, or it's just your mind telling you that you like it, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. So, I mean, I spend a lot of time thinking about fear, and I spend a lot of time thinking about love. And fear just, it makes a lot of sense to me, and I always like to say I'm not scared of anything, but there are a couple things I am scared of. So I thought really hard about them, and that's just happens to be one of them. Call it what you will, and it's completely unnecessary to be scared of, but if you tell me that you're scared of clowns or snakes or spiders or the dark or storms, I'm not gonna fucking understand that either. It's gonna be an illegitimate fear that it is broadcast in your mind for whatever reason, and it is the way it is. So do you guys know how to be terrified at the impending heat death of the earth? But I am, all the time. Always thinking about it. Next. 12. I'm just going to re-roll if I don't get these. 16. Another 10. I'm really scared of 10. 4. It's a love. Skydiving. Skydiving is a love of mine, and it basically puts life and death in your hands. And anyone that jumps out of an airplane, a perfectly good airplane, it makes you think twice about everything else that you've done in your life. From the time that you the instructor starts telling you that you probably could die, and you sign your own death certificate. Like, you literally sign your own death certificate before you get on the plane. It starts putting things into perspective. You get the suit on, you get the chute. Like, did I get the chute that opens? You're looking at all these parachutes sitting on the wall, and you're thinking about, it'd be like, well, if you're going to jump out of an airplane, you're obviously not scared of things. People that jump out of airplanes are scared of things. And even though I have very, very, very high tolerance to pain and fear, putting your life in your own hands is point A to point B. And you can say that's 100 years. You could say that's 50 years. You can say it's 20 years. You could say it's however many years you want to say. But when you're in the air and you're going up in the airplane and you go above the clouds and you're 15,000 feet in the air, it really puts things into perspective. Not in a perspective like, I could die. Obviously, you could die at any day of the week. You could choke. You could get hit by a meteor. You can get into a car accident, or you could get the Rona Rex, and you could it's so scary. So when it comes to death, I don't think death is one of the things that skydivers think about at all. It is in their mind, and it is always in training, and there are a lot of things that will go into hand in hand with skydiving, but these people are generally just adrenaline seeking junkies. They love their dopamine receptors, and they do anything to hit it as hard as they can. The first time I went skydiving, I felt like after 6 months, like, I was still high off that first jump. Like, I was thinking about it every day. I was putting things in such a different perspective that I was actually not even generalizing anything. Like, I used to be obsessed with the Vikings, and then I just stopped hating sports. Like, there were some things that just, like, the switch just turned off. Like, I guess I didn't even like those. I didn't even like that. So, like, I mean, 2020, I know sports is a lot of big things for big people, and some people, like, I know it does teach companionship and sportsmanship and all that other good stuff. But I think sports also, like, bring a lot of negativity to the world. They teach you how to hate from the very beginning, because you go to school, and then they instantly tell you which school to hate because they got a different mascot, they got different colors, and it's the same kind of crap, and it's the same kind of dogma and the same kind of bullshit that we're all fed and forced to choke down as adults, not just as kids. People think that sports do a lot of good things, and I don't think they do a lot of good things. I think they waste a lot of people's time, and not only does it waste people's time that are watching them, or waste people's time while they're playing them. If it's not something that you want to do professionally, I just don't understand. Like, yeah, go toss a frisbee, go play basketball with your boys, and that is fun. Playing sports is more fun. Professional sports, and then you get into, like, some of these people are ruining their bodies for the rest of their life. They don't talk about in the darkness of, like, having like 35 concussions. People aren't protecting their brains. Oh yeah, they got helmets. No, like, you see a lot of people after they come out of professional sports, they become suicidal. They become a lot of other things. And you hear about a lot of horror stories of really, really good people going down the dark road right after they, like, leave sports. So I think adrenaline sports should be more accepted by, I don't know, the general population. And I think that kind of ball sports they should be played for kids. I really can't even imagine somebody being, other than a commodity. Like, if you play football, or yeah, you can do good stuff with your money, and you can do good stuff for the community. And I'm not talking about people that can't do good stuff with their money. I'm talking about people that even if they have it all, they feel like they don't have anything, and that to me is very sad. So skydiving is one of the things I'll always love. I'll always hold it dear to my heart, even though it petrifies me and terrifies me to do it. I will continue doing it because it's something that you love. I have never gotten that feeling off of throwing a football, doing a really good layup in basketball, hitting a nice dinger. Like, I'm sorry, like, there's no adrenaline in sports, and the people that watch it, that like fight about their teams, and it is the most utterly disgusting thing in the world. I mean, I've even won many, many times on fantasy football because I'm a really good reader, I'm a really good researcher, and I've only not come in first place one time. And after that, I stopped playing fantasy football. It's like D&D for nerds, but actually D&D is actually fun. So D&D can actually give you adrenaline, whereas fantasy football cannot give you any of that. So next, 1, love, yellow mustard, especially Ploshman's yellow mustard. I was going to do a series of products of things that I feel that I only use one kind of brand. Here, should I turn on some light? I can only use one kind of brand for a specific product. I won't buy Kraft. I won't buy any knockoff. I won't buy anything if it's not Ploshman's yellow mustard. Yellow mustard goes on everything in this household for me. Damn near. Even frozen pizza. One of my earlier friends, he introduced me to yellow mustard on frozen pizza. I don't eat a lot of frozen pizza. But if you do, I definitely would say go ahead and put a little dab on one bite and try it. And tell me if you aren't curious for another bite of it. I'm telling you, it's delicious. It doesn't seem like it goes together. It doesn't. It does not at all. But it does. It really does. So that's something that I will always love is yellow mustard. It has always been in my top 5 favorite things in the entire world. And I don't think I'm going to find anything. I'm almost 40, so I'm not going to find anything in the next 30 years that's going to like knock yellow mustard out. I mean, it would have to be damn good because I've enjoyed so much yellow mustard that I'm kind of a snob for a lot of other condiments. And a lot of the other things, like condiments that I use, I'm like, ketchup? No, I don't use a ketchup. I think Cholula would probably be the other condiment that I use that I absolutely love. So, yellow mustard. I guess we're going to knock out the loves. Number 4, dimethyltryptamine and lethargic acid diethylamide. They are 2 things that have made me who I am. I don't condone any drug use. I will not push that down anyone's throat. I would never tell anyone to go do something that they never wanted to do. But I cannot look back on my history and turn a blind side of what made me who I am. And I did a lot of hallucinogens growing up. And one of the things that hallucinogens did for me was I always thought the world was going to be a certain way all the time. It was always just going to be, it's the way the world is. It's the way the world is. Well, all I wanted to do growing up is be a Navy SEAL. I wanted to be in the military. I wanted to go in the Marines. I wanted to be Special Forces. I wanted to be Navy SEAL. That's all I ever wanted to be. Until one day, I was actually already signed up for the Marines. I was already signed up. I did 1 year of delayed entry program. I did all their DEP programs. I was killing their physical tests in the Marines, and it wasn't anything. It didn't matter anything to me. The only thing I wanted to do is go kill people. And the funny thing about this is, if I would have taken that path, I don't know the kind of person I would be, and I don't even know if I'd like that person. But there was one night that I decided to take ecstasy, and it was the first time I ever took ecstasy. And I took ecstasy, and the very next day I called my recruiter and said I didn't want to be in the Marines because I had this overwhelming like feeling of love and appreciation, like for the world. Not like the thought of killing people just disappeared that day. And I went into my gunnery sergeant, and he told me I have to join. I already signed up. I already did the swear-in. I already did everything. There's a stack of paper like that, and you sign it all. You swear in, and that's it. You go into boot camp. Well, lucky for me, I'm smart, and I went and did a little research, and I said, how do I back out of boot camp? And I literally just went to my doctor. I looked up like 10 or 15 things that clinical depression, like symptoms, and then I made him prescribe me some medicine. So then I went to my gunnery sergeant and I said, hey, look, I'm depressed. He goes, no, you're not. I've been talking to you for the last year. You're the furthest person from depressed. I said, yesterday I called you up and I told you I didn't want to join, and you said I had to. He said, yeah, that's true. I said, so I went on the internet and I found out how to get out of it. So here's my Wellbutrin. I'm out of the Marines. He goes, I'm going to tell you what. You give me 10 of those pills, and I will discharge you, and you won't get in any trouble. You won't go AWOL, no nothing. So, and he said he wanted 10 of them so he could show the other guys what they look like if they ever were curious about what. I'm like, come on, Gunnery, you ain't gonna fucking you're not gonna beat around the bush. I know what these things do, and I literally just gave them to him, and I said, I don't care, you can have them. I'm not depressed, so as long as you sign that little piece of paper that says I am, and I'm AWOL, and I'm not AWOL, that's all I need. He goes, as long as if you ever join, you got to join the Marines. I said, okay, no problem. And it was a deal, done deal that day. So he went from no, 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 and I had a long conversation with him to just give me the pills, and it was over. So I'm sure he is long not even in the Marines anymore, so I don't even give a shit that I just said that. So next. 2. Seeing the moon at daytime. Seeing the moon at daytime is probably my favorite thing. I know it seems stupid or it seems lame, but it's like kissing in the rain. It's just magical. Uh, People think the moon is only out at nighttime. It is not. It is very much so not, and a lot of the times you can see it during the day if you know where to look. And it's one of those things where you get the day and you get the night together. And the moon looks so cool during the day. It just looks like this little crescent or this little like waning gibbous or waxing gibbous, depending on whenever you see it. But it always looks so. I always look for it. I always gaze at it, and whoever I'm with, I'm like, look, it's the moon, and people are like, so why? I'm like, people just don't get how cool it is seeing the moon during the day. I think it's amazing. So it's one of my favorite things, and it's one of the things that I'll always love. So if you ever see the moon during the day, and I've tried to get pictures of it, it's really hard to get pictures during the day because it's like it just gets flooded out, but you'll just see like a little white speck in the sky because cameras don't do any they don't serve it any love. I mean, it just looks like nothing. You need like one of those like Nikon cameras. So next. 5. I knew we were gonna finish loves. Culture. Culture is probably one of the most precious things to me because you get to separate from who you are and do something else that somebody else does. And you get to, like, for instance, food, cuisine, beer, going and visiting places. Like, you can see so much culture in the United States. If you just go to a different state, it's completely different than the next state over. And if you've traveled around enough, you'd know that, yeah, culture is everywhere in the United States. And it's really amazing. So if I get to try a beer that I've never had or eat a cuisine that I've never had before, to me, it's probably one of my absolute favorites because you get to taste like history. Like it came, let's say this dish came from like the 1200s. Well, I'm like, well, it's delicious. They've had a long time to perfect it, and that's probably why it's so good. And that's one of the things why I like culture so much. And that's why I like to travel so much. And that's why I probably watch a lot of history and a lot of those boring channels that nobody else watches. But don't get me wrong. I'm like, culture is. In America, we are so uncultured that, like, it's very easy to embrace anyone else's culture. And that's why, like, we get easily manipulated because we actually don't have any culture. What's American culture? Like guns, sports, like boobs, beer, like fat asses. Like that's literally what people think about when you go to other countries. What they think about Americans, that we're just lazy, we don't do anything, and it's very sexualized. It is anywhere you go, like you're seeing sex. You go to a lot of other countries, you're not gonna see everything sexualized like it is here. Like you see commercials and you see like things, and you can go like you can travel like 15 miles and not see one billboard with like without sexualization on there. And in America, we're very, very sexualized. And whether or not we want to admit that, it's in everything that you look at. It's in advertisements, it's in shows, it's in the perfect kiss. It is everywhere. So sexualization is one thing that I don't get me wrong. It's one of the things that makes humans who they are is their primitive drives and stuff. But in America, I think we're uncultured, and everyone that isn't from here wants to come here. And then I feel like everyone that's from here wants to leave here. It's the grass is always greener on the other side, I think, when it comes to people. On to fears, guys. On to fears. Except for the one I had, the heat death. 6. Heights. I am petrified and terrified of heights. My wife and I have gone on trips, and we've stayed at some very nice skyscrapers, and I am terrified to be anything higher than just a couple stories. I like my feet on the ground. I like the ground. The ground's safe. I can fall on the ground and I'll be okay, but if I fall from heights, you're not going to be okay. You know, it's one of the things. It's a natural fear that we all should have. It's kind of like, it's like the dark and storms and spiders and snakes, and a lot of people are scared of those things, and clowns and stuff for whatever reason. But you know, heights can be absolutely terrifying if you're scared of them. We spent one of my birthdays. It was like, I think it was 2 years ago, and we spent it in, well, actually 3 years ago because it's a new year, in Chicago, and we stayed at I think we were on like the 33rd floor, and she wanted to go out, and she's like hanging over the side looking down, and my hands just sweat sitting here thinking about it. And I would like lay with most of my body hanging on the inside of the apartment, and like just my like here and up was like, you know, outside. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't. She's like, come out here. I'm like, it's a sense of claustrophobia, I guess, because I don't know if I even have that on here. Yeah, claustrophobia is probably like my biggest fear. So like, it's being in a high altitude or a high building, and then not being able to escape. I don't know what the sense of fear is, but like, the views are beautiful. It's amazing. Like, I love all that, but I'm terrified of it. It doesn't mean I won't go. It doesn't mean like I won't. Like, think about somebody that jumps out of an airplane, right? That's 15,000 feet. That's pretty high. Those miles and miles up above the clouds. And yeah, that's scary. But you know, being on like in a building, even when we went on that trip, she was going to surprise me, and she wanted to go on one of the glass bottom skyscraper, or the viewing tower or whatever. I was like, you can go ahead and throw those in the fucking trash, because I'm not going. I don't care. I'm not going. And I didn't. And she's like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm really sure. I'm like, there isn't enough alcohol and pills in the world to get me to not be scared of heights. I just am. So, again, this is going right up. Number 7, failure. I fear failure. I fear failure because I don't like to let people down. I feel completely content and okay with letting myself down, and I'm not hurting anybody. But I did a lot of thinking about that kind of mentality, and if you let yourself fail yourself, then you're indirectly hurting every single person around you. It doesn't even matter if you know them. It doesn't matter if they're friends, if they're family, if you are talking to, or if you are a complete stranger. If you don't do your absolutely best in life, you're hurting everyone around you. And it shows how humanity and mankind can very easily end up into a degeneration instead of like evolving, or a de-evolution instead of evolving into like better and, you know, like humankind together. So if you're not trying your absolute best in everything, you're probably a little scared. I don't know. You're a little lazy. You have a mentality, and you think that your mind controls what you do, and it doesn't. Your mind doesn't control anything you do. Your body controls everything you do. You think your mind actually does the things that you control. It is not that way. And I'm sorry. Your mind only is like 10%. When you wake up in the morning and you're tired, your body tells you you're tired, so your mind tries to make you happy, and you get a cup of coffee, and you make coffee. It doesn't mean that you're smart and you made a cup of coffee. No, it means your body's tired. Then you got to ask yourself, why is your body tired? Did you not get enough sleep? Did you not go to bed early enough? Did you go to bed on a full stomach? You know, there's a lot of things that'll lead up to you just being tired. You know, like, are you stressed out at work? You know, like, that's one of the things that's going to make people tired. And it doesn't mean coffee is going to fix everything, but it's one of those things that people think that their mind makes their decisions. It does not. Their body makes their decisions, and their mind is trying to appease their body. Wow. Arrogance. 8. Arrogance. I get into a lot of arguments with people. People think I talk down to them, and I do not do that. I'm an objective person, I'm always looking at what I observe, and then I relay information. I don't always do it in the most productive way, and I that's something that I personally work on, but I in no way, shape, or form do I ever try to talk down to somebody. I always think that we are all students in life. I'm not a teacher, I am a student. I'm sharing information. That is who I am. I'm not I'm not a guru. I'm not a whatever you want to call those people that you call up and then you like they give you help tips on life. I don't know what it is called, but I'm not one of those either. Even though people call me all the time, and then I actually end up getting in arguments with people and they hang up on me because they either don't like what I have to say. It's like, why did you call me? If you did not, people call me because they want to hear what they don't want to hear. That's why people call me. You're not going to call me and say, hey, what do you think about that movie? No, people call me when they want to be force fed shit that they had not, they already know. They already know. They just don't want to listen to it. They need to hear it angled in a certain way. That's why people call me. Wow. Last one. It was a 10, but we already did heat death, so I'm just going to do my last one. Being poor again. I grew up poor. I grew up in poverty. I grew up stealing two left-handed gloves from the lost and found at school because we couldn't afford gloves. So like I had to wear one backwards one and one forwards one. Like I got one pair of shoes like maybe once every other year, and if it wasn't a good pair of shoes and it didn't last, I ran around as a kid. So like I would rip through my shoes. Nope, didn't matter. I had to afford my own shoes, or I had to, because we didn't have the money, we had the money. It just was squandered. That's what it was. And that was one of the things that terrified me to be poor. It's also one of the things that probably attracted me to drugs. And growing up, I wanted to make a lot of money, and drugs sell themselves. You don't even have to have charisma. You don't need to have anything to sell drugs. Drug dealers that think that they have all this money and stuff, like, yeah, you can make thousands of dollars in a day depending on what you're selling and who you're selling to. But it doesn't make you a better person. And the money that what I did learn though, the money that you spend from working and the money that you spend from selling drugs are not the same amount of money. If you go to a diner and you put down your hard-earned money like on the table to pay for that meal, it just tastes a little better. If you go to a bar and you pay for the entire table, like they don't even know it. Like let's say 20 people 20 people come over and you tell the bartender, "Hey, it's on my tab." Just keep feeding them drinks, keep giving them tabs like they're getting one. Like that $400 does not feel as good. The $400 that you blew on those people does not feel as good as, the $50 meal that you paid for with your own hard money. And being poor again is not a bad thing, because I can be poor. I know how to live. I know how to survive, and that's not what I'm scared of. Not having the luxuries, not having the things to give to the people that I love and care about. Those are the things that scare me. Like if you can't help yourself, then you can't help other people. And I think as money being a tool and a weapon, you should always leave it as a tool. If you're using it as a weapon, it's only going to come back. So there it is. First top 10 of the year, Love and Fears. Have a good one. I'm going to get online.